Yeah, you could say it's a high thought or just a deep thought.
Well, knowing your habits, I'll go with the first one.
Little kids go to sleep, pop an edible, relax a little. Things start popping in your head. Let me write this down for tomorrow's show. Start tapping away on the phone.
Hey, if it inspires thought, I'm all for it.
Danny G hit us up with a really funny meme, and that's sort of what inspired it as well. It's a Micky Mantle rookie card. And the meme says, I miss the days when we didn't know what our baseball cards were going to be worth. And someone drew a beard and put a pipe in Micky Mantle's mouth on the baseball card.
Yeah.
You know, our parents would talk about how they would put their favorite baseball cards in the spokes of their bicycle so it would make that sound. So when you think back to all the valuable things, not only we squandered or didn't appreciate, our parents and grandparents, I had like some deep thought based on if you could communicate something to your grandfather or dad, hey, or mom or grandma, if you could communicate something to them in 5 words, but knowing your parents and how they'd be like, yeah, what is this? Like, if you left them a letter, they might be like, what is this? And throw it out. How would you, if I told you you're allowed to somehow communicate 5 words to an old relative back then, what would it be?
Like, it's such a tough thing, yet awesome to
think
about.
Save Micky Mantles from future. No, that would, like, if I said 5 words, Honus Wagner, get one. Like, Jordan sneakers, save for future. Like, what would?
I think I would just need 4 words. Invest in Apple stock.
Why would we have to limit the words again?
Because otherwise it's not a fun, dumb, hypothetical.
I'm just wondering, like, I don't know, like, do we have a limited amount of characters?
You want 2 sentences?
Hey, do you think if Micky
Yo, Dad,
Mantle...
it's me from the future, your son, who you don't know.
No,
by the way, Micky Mantle.
If Micky Mantle could go, I don't know, like, did we have Morse code or something? Why do we have to limit this? Is it a tweet we're sending to ourselves?
I'm just like, remember the movie Frequency with Jim Caviezel and Dennis Quaid, where he talks to his dad in 1969? I love that because the whole backdrop is the 69 Mets. Great movie if you've never seen it. But if you could communicate one investment piece of advice, what if it was simply...
invest in Apple.
What if it was simply Bitcoin, trust me, the future? Like, I don't... Like, what would... But then you'd have to hope that your dumb old relative took that note and applied it. Mantle will be worth millions.
It's true how... when you think back, everybody has that story. I had 1 million of them. Oh, my mom threw them away. I used to throw them against the wall. We used to play games with them. I put them in my spokes. I drew on it. Drew a mustache like this one. By the way, do you think if Micky Mantle could go back in time, he would redo that letter? You know that infamous letter he wrote? I think the backstory is, I'm going to butcher it, but it's something like this. The New York Yankees sent Micky Mantle a questionnaire for like the 50th anniversary of the team or the stadium or something like that. And they asked Micky Mantle, hey, Mickey, do you mind filling this out for the team? And it was just a fill-in-the-blank sort of questionnaire for former players from the Yankees to Mickey, to my understanding. And the first question was, I consider the following and my outstanding experience at Yankee Stadium. And Micky Mantle proceeds to write that one of his favorite experiences was some loving he got under the bleachers. Let's put it that way. Some I've seen out that there like for auction, and he really did it. And his signed Micky Mantle and everything because he didn't take it serious. I don't know. So weird. I think if he can go back in time, he might want to change that story around. But it's really funny when you read Mantle's famous lewd questionnaire because it goes into detail about what was going on in between innings at Yankee Stadium back in the day.
Well,
but that rookie card, man, I'm telling you, it's worth so much. So many people along the way had their hands on it. And, dude, that was a major bragging right for one of my buddies growing up. He had it, had to get rid of it. And it haunts him till this day.
Well, at COVINO Rich, I just posted the meme that inspired this from Danny. It said, I miss the days when we didn't know how much our baseball cards were worth. Dan Beyer, what would you, I'm curious what you or Iowa Sam or Danny G, what would you tell your dad or grandfather through a cryptic message like about the future? That would change the what would change the Covino family stars? Because you know your dad, and your dad's a stubborn Jersey guy.
Yeah, but what if Dad pulled Doc Emmett Brown? He's like, he doesn't want to mess with the space-time continuum and refuses to read it.
I won't read it, Marty.
But then he does read it, though. He does read it.
Takes it back together.
Marty,
I would be like,
the
dude,
Libyans.
stop eating so much gabagool because it's getting clogged in your arteries.
The Libyans, how'd they find me?
Yeah.
With that in mind,
How?
think about the scores that were in that book and think about the biggest upset, like in Super Bowl history.
Danny G, tell your dad, bet on Buster Douglas. Promise. Again, I'm limiting to 5 words. Buster Douglas, 42-1. You tell your dad, I know, Dad, take a second mortgage on the house. Put $100,000 on Buster Douglas.
Tell your grandfather, Joe Namath's promise will come true.
Namath's promise will come true. Namath's promise will come true.
That's a great way to make some money, Biff Tannen style, right? You leave that sort of secret, and not to get morbid on it, but if there was a tragedy like Doc Emmett Brown, you'd want to warn them of that day. Like, hey,
I've
how about
thought
you take the day off on blank day.
Well,
right?
I always thought
Don't
about...
go to work on this day.
I always thought about the sad reality if someone could go back in time to 9/11.
Yeah.
Let's say someone was able to go back to 9/10.
All you have to do is be like, take that day off.
But if you said that, they might arrest you thinking like, who's this guy? And you're like, I'm innocent. Ah! So you'd have to be like really strategic about, and then no one would believe you. Imagine you went back to 9/10 and said, hey, listen, tomorrow's going to be the worst day in U.S. history. Trust me, don't do this. People, no one would believe you. That's why this is a dumb high thought based on that Micky Mantle baseball card that someone drew a beard and a pipe on. I wonder
what a
if
heartbreaker, too, though. Imagine, like, you're rummaging through your grandma's stuff and you find that in the attic. It's a Micky Mantle, and you turn it over.
He's got a mustache.
Yeah.
They drew all
and
over
as far
it.
as 9/11, Rich, I think, because think about it, it could be leading up to those events. So if somehow you could say, tell the FBI a plot is hatching or something to that effect, you know what I mean?
It's tricky.
Because think of the airport laws and screening back then, which is why it tightened up so much.
Even since I've known Covino or, think of your radio days, what if someone were to tell you, picture 20-something-year-old Danny G in the 2000s. If someone were to come to you and be like, I'm from the future, Danny G. Buy Bitcoin. And you're like, what the hell is Bitcoin? Yeah, no thanks. No, I'm telling you, Danny, I promise you'll be a millionaire. You remember that story about the idiot that bought a pizza with 100 Bitcoin or something ridiculous, and they did the math, and that was a multi-million-dollar pizza?
Yeah, no, I've seen that stat. How about this? Just going based on crazy odds and upsets. Can't you just say bet on Buster Douglas?
I said that.
Can't you just? Stay along those lines though.
But what else? What else would come to mind?
I'm trying to think of
Namath,
other major
Buster
upsets.
Douglas. Yeah,
that was 42-1, right?
Yeah.
Any other ones that come to mind as far as the odds were insane and that came through in sports?
Wasn't there when Ronda Rousey lost was another one?
Oh,
hey, I'm
Holly
talking to you,
Holmbeater?
McFly, you Irish bug.
Yeah, you need that. You definitely need that Biff sort of thing, that Biff Tannen sort of mindset to make it happen. Any other sleeper companies?
What about Buster Douglas? No, I'm kidding.
I know everyone's.
I'm trying to think of more crazy odds though.
Early 2020. Load up on paper towels.
Oh,
Yeah.
You'll become rich, I tell you.
Yes. Invest in masks.
Even 5 years ago, been NVIDIA, pick a
Yes.
stuff. Peloton, but then sell it. Zoom.
I was thinking, sell my Eric Anthony rookie in 1989.
My Brian Taylor rookie won't matter. Don't think Todd Van Poppel will work out.
Yeah, in that case, you're dish out all your 86 Conseco rated rookies because that was a hot one for a minute too. And people held on to those things that thought were going to be valuable, ended up not being valuable
Don't buy more Greg Jeffries.
Exactly. There's so many random things. But if you were to pick one,
it has to be Tyson Douglas.
It'd have to be a Tyson Douglas major upset sort of event in sports.
How about
or a
live
major
betting?
investment.
How about live betting on the Patriots to come back against the Falcons?
Yo, that's a good one. 28-3.
You know what that money would have been at halftime?
I wonder if there was. They may have even taken it off the book. Patriots won't win. Plus 50,000. When they were losing 28-3, I wonder if there was a live bet that someone did. There may be someone that did $10 and won a nice little fortune. But it's a good thought, a dumb thought. Again, the NHL and NBA have done nothing to provide us with entertainment. So I think a dumb, deep thought is better.
How down were the Heat in that finals game when the fans started to leave?
That was not a big enough. That was just at the end of the game, a couple 3-pointers.
Yeah, they couldn't have changed anything there.
That's not Falcons worthy. That's not.
No, that was a crazy comeback.
That's not Ronda Rousey or Buster Douglas.
I would, holding on to those Mickey Mantles is a pretty good one if we're going grandparents. Hey, hold on to those bad boys. So I'll tell you what, I don't think, depending on your family and how you grew up, I don't think my family ever had anything of value. I've never heard or seen anything.
You're limited to 5 words. Hold on to Mantle cards.
Hold on to Mantle.
Joe Namath's
Yeah,
promise.
but what if they're thinking of the fireplace?
Joe Namath's promise comes true. Invest in Apple stock. Promise.
That's the number one answer. I'm sorry.
Not to make it story time, but when we talk about those Mantle card stories, my uncle actually had a similar one where he collected cards in the 1950s, and this was back in Wisconsin, so he collected the Milwaukee Braves. So he has a Hank Aaron rookie card.
Wow.
And then it was all 1954, but to the point you always hear these stories, and our cards were what, 80s, mid 80s to late 1980s.
Your favorite was the 87 wood border of Topps. I remember that was everyone's favorite one, right?
Oh, I like the NFL 86 with the green field. It was the Jerry Rice rookie.
Of
I
course.
think everybody had that set.
I think it's regional too. Go back to the original conversation, how everything's regional. If you get some guy in New England, he might say don't trade the Babe.
Yeah,
it's gonna be different because you could change a whole
Trajectory,
franchise,
yeah.
a whole trajectory. The people of that area wouldn't be these lovable losers for all those years. You know what I mean? You would change the whole vibe of an entire city with something like that.
When the Bills were down to the Oilers, you could bet a Super Bowl bet because that was only a wild card game. But they're getting killed in the wild card game, so your odds would be much further if you were to say go to the Super Bowl at that point.
Yeah, I'm racking my brain trying to think.
You could hit up Scott Norwood. Pull a little left. Pull a little left. Give him a thumbs up emoji as the 5th character. All right. You know what? We'll go to a couple phone calls, some feedback, but we'll get to other stuff.
The number in sports is probably Mantle based on the meme
and
the value and the rarity of these cards.
And the thing is, your dad, and your uncle, and your grandfather.
Yeah, it was possible. They probably had one.
Yeah. In fact, not promise. They did have one.
Right.
Now the Honus Wagner is a different story because they may not have even been able to get a hold of one.
And you're going too far back, right? So I think in sports, that's probably it. In life, it's probably invest in Apple, like we said.
Yeah.
In life.
Or like I said, during COVID, there were tell some person, just trust me,
what,
GameStop.
I love the thought, and I love the meme of, someone found this Mickey Mantle card and they drew all over it. But I'll tell you what, guys, if you're having fun like Rich did last night, these conversations are, I think, way easier to think about because your mind's just in that zone, right? So